President Obama is going to free Chelsea Manning. In 4 months, Chelsea Manning will be set free because President Obama has commuted almost all of her remaining prison sentence. You'll remember Chelsea Manning, the Army intelligence analyst convicted as Bradley Manning at the time of a 2010 leak, which exposed military and diplomatic activities around the world. Some very disturbing videos of American military actions in Iraq. And these are leaks that gave WikiLeaks sort of the initial worldwide notoriety. They were the recipients and the eventual publishers of the Manning leaks. And Chelsea Manning is a transgender woman in a men's military prison. She attempted suicide twice in the last year and has been jailed in total for nearly 7 years, if you include the pretrial detention and, of course, the initial years serving her sentence. She was sentenced to 35 years in prison. This is by far the longest punishment we've ever seen for a leak conviction. Will be freed in May of this year, 4 months from now, instead of in 2045. Of course, a number of Republicans criticizing this, Paul Ryan calling it outrageous. I'm developing a sense that if Paul Ryan calls something outrageous, it's probably pretty good, and we should be looking into doing more of it.
He may just be doing it for political posturing, too, disagreeing with Obama in his last chance that he can.
Let's take a look for comparison at some other prison sentences for leak convictions. Of course, every one of these situations not exactly the same, but to give you a sense, former CIA officer Jeffrey Sterling, 3.5 years in prison. Former CIA Director David Petraeus, 2 years probation and a $100,000 fine. Former NSA official Thomas Drake, a year probation and 240 hours of community service. Couldn't even make it around 250 hours. Former State Department official Stephen Jin-Woo Kim, 13 months. And former CIA officer John Kirikou, 30 months. And again, Chelsea Manning, 35 years. I believe that this is correct. Chelsea Manning exposed crimes, brutal war crimes. People are asking, well, why not Edward Snowden? The Snowden situation is objectively different in many ways. Number one, we may correctly assess that the activities Snowden exposed are sort of not efficient activities for the government to be doing, bulk surveillance, NSA record, bulk record collection, etc., but not illegal, made legal by the Patriot Act and other provisions that were passed. Number two, Edward Snowden, normally presidential pardons are for people convicted in the U.S. Snowden is in another country and he's not been convicted of anything. And we're talking about a drastically different scenario. And some people, Rachel, talk about preemptive pardons, but those are very rare. I mean, we saw that in the case of Nixon, right? We saw a preemptive pardon. We saw it from Jimmy Carter absolving people coming back. People during the Vietnam era, absolving people who violated the Military Selective Service Act through draft evasion. If anybody was holding their breath for a preemptive pardon of Edward Snowden, they were probably going to run out of breath pretty soon, I guess is the point.
They were definitely going to run out of breath, but I feel as though the distinction between them both is very difficult, but where it becomes even harder is to measure it, because I would maybe argue that some of the leaks helped prevent the continuation of the Iraq war, because we had all these disclosures about the horrible crimes that the U.S. troops are committing, and then effectively later on they were pushed out. But how do you measure that?
You can't measure objectively, but I think when you look at this on paper, Pat, you see the exposing of crimes versus the exposing of activities which maybe people didn't know were going on, but could have if they had been paying attention for the previous years. We're not really talking about similar situations.
I think Edward Snowden himself even understands the differences there, because he went on Twitter and said that if President Obama was to act on one act of clemency, he should do it for Chelsea Manning.
But he already had more ideological support because everyone was already worried about cybersecurity.
Big picture, the Obama administration has been very aggressive against leakers, and Chelsea Manning sat in prison long enough for offenders maybe to think twice in the future, yet Chelsea Manning personally is going to be freed. And there are transphobic people saying this is bogus. The only reason she's being let out is because she played the I need my gender identity surgery card, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you think about that, Chelsea Manning did not deserve a 35-year sentence, period. I actually believe it's more likely that Edward Snowden will get a pardon under Donald Trump, given the friendliness with Russia. I don't know if you guys disagree with me on that.
I mean, they could offer Edward Snowden up as some sort of bargaining chip for Trump.
That's
and
interesting.
hope to get something in return for it, yeah.
Yeah, but if they keep doing this, it's going to set a dangerous precedent. So I don't know how likely that will be.
Obama also granting 63 other pardons and 207 other commutations, mostly drug offenders. Can Chelsea Manning live safely out there in the free world, or will Chelsea Manning be a target? I believe she would be a target.
Oh, I think she would definitely be a target from every kind of nationalist person who believed that she exposed very, very, very secret information that hurt a lot of civilians.
And who will be out there to protect Chelsea Manning once she is living in the free world? Something that I guess that's the next step that we'll have to contend with. Thanks for watching this video. Before you watch the next one, remember, we're raising money to expand the David Pakman Show Big League, as well as expand progressive activism. Go to davidpakman.com/donate. Donations of any size are much appreciated.